The idea of a movie that's so bad that it's good is a concept that's been around for a very long time, but has exploded in popularity in recent years. This type of film has become such a popular attraction that filmmakers will sometimes go out of their way to make a bad movie on purpose. But I've always felt that the best bad movies are the genuine efforts. The movies that strive for something greater, but just don't quite pull it off. Take, for instance, H.G. Lewis's 1970 classic gore film about a stage magician that took gratuitous violence to the next level at the time, but also attempted to address some existential issues. So for the first episode of Best Bad Movie, let's take a look at one of my all-time favorites, The Wizard of Gore. Hello?
Hey, it's Kylie Jenner. Are you ready for our hot date?
Oh hey Kylie Jenner, I'm almost ready. I just gotta powder my teeth.
What do you mean you powder your teeth?
Yeah, I gotta powder my teeth. It's just like brushing my teeth, except I use powder instead of toothpaste. It's normal. Hello? This video is sponsored by ProTeeth, a brand new protein powder for your teeth. ProTeeth is an all-natural plant-based product that contains vitamins A, B, C, iron, and more, which means it's not only safe to swallow, it's good for you if you swallow it. And don't worry if you have any specific health concerns when it comes to consuming things, because it contains no dairy, nuts, soy, or sugar. Right now, ProTeeth has two blends. You got Healthy Gums, for people who want healthy gums, and you got Sport, for people who want to get sporty with their teeth. And one tub of it should last you about 3 months. To get ProTeeth, just go to the link in the description and use code WHA20 for 20% off your order. I've always been a big fan of movies that are so bad that they're good. I mean, all these boring, pretentious Oscar movies and these lowest common denominator special effects Disney movies, they can all suck my ass. Why would I watch that when I could watch something that some guy made with coins he found between his couch cushions? That's the kind of movie that has character. That's the kind of movie that speaks to me. And of all the people who make these kinds of movies, my favorite is probably Herschel Gordon Lewis, the man who is basically credited with creating the gore film, a subgenre of horror that emphasizes gratuitous, over-the-top violence. If you've ever watched my Twitch streams before, you've probably seen me rant at length about how much I love his movies, and the first one that I ever came across was one of his later works, 1970's The Wizard of Gore. And now, obviously, this video is going to contain spoilers, but in my opinion, The Wizard of Gore is the epitome of a movie that's about the journey and not the destination. The film revolves around the story of a magician named Montag the Magnificent. Montag likes to begin his performances with monologues that question the nature of reality.
Perhaps when you had thought that you were waking up, you had actually just begun to dream.
It's entirely possible.
Essentially, this movie was The Matrix, but 25 years ahead of its time. Montag is very clearly a young guy playing a very, very old guy with stuff in his mustache that makes him look like Joey Ryan if he was coming off a cocaine bender and forgot to clean his mustache. And the amount of old-defying white paint varies from scene to scene. And there actually is a story behind why this is so. As much as Herschel Gordon Lewis was known for cutting corners, he actually did have an age-appropriate actor to play Montag at first. But then one day everything went sideways and a 21-year-old Ray Sager had to take over the role. Ray Sager explains in an old YouTube video.
I did the show and as a key grip. 3 days into shooting, and maybe 3 or 2.5, the guy that was playing the Wizard of Gore, who was around in his maybe 70s, and looked perfect, was great, and could, just fool anyone, started having a meltdown. And he started cracking up on set. So Herschel Gordon Lewis looks around and talks to Louise Downs, who was one of the writers and his right-hand woman. And he said, Louise, what should we do? And they were, calling casting people and this and that. And then they looked at me and they said, as Herschel inimitably says, well, maybe not inimitably. Anyway, he said, well, Ray, have you ever thought of playing the Wizard of Gore? And that's how he talks. Anyway, I said, well, no, I actually hadn't even read the script. So I said, but how much will you pay? He said, well, we'll give you 5 times what you're making now as a grip. So I went, I'm yours.
And honestly, I can't help but feel that this movie wouldn't have been the same if Ray had been given adequate time to prepare. I mean, just look at this.
What is a magician?
A miserable little pile of secrets.
A person who tears asunder your rules of logic and crumbles your world of reality?
For those that have suffered through my performance, please forgive me.
There's no need to apologize. I mean, if it were up to me, there would be an Oscar for whatever kind of acting you call this. Maybe I'll just make my own damn award show. After giving his speeches, Montag will then proceed to take a volunteer from the audience, usually a lovely lady, and have them participate in his magic trick. And here's where it gets interesting. You see, while the audience will watch the trick and just see a normal magic trick like Montag sawing a lady in half and then, oh, she's all one piece still, the magic trick will be intercut with scenes of Montag violently killing these women while set to funky beatnik music. And the funny thing about the guts, according to the book Herschel Gordon Lewis, Godfather of Gore, the guts were actually real. What happened was they had a pair of sheep carcasses that were preserved with pine sol, and when they needed guts for the gore scenes, they would take guts from the sheep carcasses and there you go. Apparently, Herschel Gordon Lewis's son was in charge of all of this because he was the only one willing to handle the dead animal guts. But anyway, back to the magic. After all the carnage, all the gore, all the killing, the woman returns to her seat unharmed, only to appear somewhere else hours later dead in the way that Montag killed them in the cutout sequences. And some of these death reveals are among my favorite scenes in all of cinematic history. Take for instance the woman who turns up dead at the restaurant. There's a dead body and everyone's clearing out, and then you got the one guy that runs behind her and then runs back. It's as if he's not running away from the body, but just kind of like running around in a circle in a general state of panic. It reminds me of that oh no's everybody panic gif that used to get posted to Fark all the time back in the day. Or how about the woman who turns up dead after her fella turns the light on, does a Resident Evil tank control style turn, and finds her and goes full side duck. So how does Montag kill these people without apparently killing them? Apparently he has some amazing power of hypnotism. So if Montag is so powerful that he can hypnotize an entire audience at a show, imagine what he could do if you put him in front of a TV audience. Well, guess what? As it just so happens, a woman named Sherry is a TV reporter, and she just happened to be in attendance at one of these shows, and she was so impressed that she invited Montag to come and do it live on national TV. Will Montag use this platform to hypnotize the entire world? Well, thankfully, just in the nick of time, a man named Jack, another reporter at the TV station who also happens to be Sherry's boyfriend, gets to the bottom of it. Leading to another one of my favorite scenes in the movie. You see, as it turns out, when Montag hypnotizes you, he makes your hand bleed. Watch as Jack pieces this together.
Greg, look at your hand. Our hands are bleeding. Greg, our hands are bleeding. Greg, look at your hand. Greg, it's Montag. He's doing it. Montag, we've got to stop him. He's going to kill everyone. Steve, look at your hand. Steve.
Alright, that's all my lines, time to walk out of the shot. But it's too late. Montag has hypnotized the entire TV crew and the audience at home. For his final act, Montag has set the entire studio ablaze and he's gonna kill them all. But just when it seemed like all was lost, Jack breaks into the TV studio and shoves Montag into the fire, breaking his spell and snapping everybody out of it. Watch as the immobile prop body screams in agony.
Somehow he was making everyone's hand bleed.
And then watch Sherry's reaction as she sees a man burning to death in front of her. That is not the look you give someone that's dying in a fire 1 foot in front of you. That's the look you give when you discover that your dog shit on the carpet. That's how Elaine reacted when she realized that Jerry Seinfeld's new suede jacket had been ruined in the rain. And it's not even over yet. After having saved a TV crew for being burned alive, and after having saved America for being hypnotized by Montag, Jack and Sherry decide to celebrate with some wine. But suddenly, Jack peels his face off to reveal that he's not Jack at all, but rather Montag.
You fool! What makes you think you know what reality is?
Montag then proceeds to disembowel Sherry with his bare hands while grooving out to some more funky beatnik music. That is, until Sherry interrupts him to tell him that he is in fact not the only magician in town.
You are no longer even here. You'll have to start your little charade all over again.
But I am Montag!
Yes, I am Montag.
Very existential. Did Montag imagine the whole thing? Does he even have any kind of powers, or was this all some kind of daydream that he had on stage in front of people? Considering that she said you'll have to start your little charade all over again, perhaps this was some kind of Groundhog's Day type setup and he has to keep on doing this over and over again forever. As silly as it might seem for this level of production, it's actually kind of ambitious for what it is. And that's what I think makes it the perfect choice for the start of this Best Bad Movies series. You see, I think these days the concept of a movie that's so bad that it's good is such a common concept that people try to do it on purpose now. But I think when people go out of their way to make a movie that's purposely bad, it kinda feels a little bit hollow, a little phony. I think the best bad movies are the ones that come out of a genuine effort to make something good. And even though H.G. Lewis was reportedly unhappy with how this movie turned out, you can see the genuine vision that went into it. As one of his later movies, a lot of people see this as a commentary on the genre that he helped create, and I think that if it were a perfect movie, it wouldn't have quite had the legacy that it wound up having. But anyway, I highly recommend watching this video in its entirety, and if you like this video, I think you'll also like my video looking at the old Battletoads cartoon pilot. Anyway guys, I'm out of here.